Hello, today on Student Tools we want to discuss the top 3 ways of solving quadratic equations. As it is public knowledge that there are so many ways of killing a cat, so yes, today we want to give you tips on how to get rid of the cat that keeps on scratching on your head when you can't solve a quadratic equation on your exam paper. If you're new here, make sure you hit the subscribe button below so that you get to see more videos like this one. And yes, click on the notification bell as well so that you will be notified whenever a new video is available. Alright, without any waste of time, let us discuss the top 3 ways of solving quadratic equations. Number 1, to solve quadratic equations, we would use the first method, which is vectorizing. So here we have x squared plus 5x minus 6 equal to 0. And we need to factorize. And to factorize, we will use 2 brackets equal to 0. Here we will have an x, also an x here. Then the next thing is to find factors of 6. So factors of 6 we have 1 and 6, also 2 and 3. So now we have to pick a pair, and with that pair, when multiplied, it has to give us an answer of -6, but also give us an answer of +5 when we add the two numbers of that pair. So here I think we can use this pair of 1 and 6, but the 1 has to be negative because -1 multiplied by 6 is equal to a -6, which is this one. Also, -1 plus 6 is equal to a +5, which is this one, the coefficient of this x. So we will use this pair, -1 and 6. Then here we will have a -1, a +6 here. So now we have factorized. So now we have x minus 1 in this bracket. Let us write x minus 1 here and have it equal to 0. Or also here we have x plus 6. So let us write x plus 6 here. And also have it equal to 0. Now with this x minus 1, we have to solve for x by adding 1. When we add 1 on the left hand side, we also have to add 1 on the right hand side. So this will cancel. Then we have x is equal to 0 plus 1 is equal to 1. Also here we have to solve for x. We do that by taking the +6 from the left hand side to the right hand side. So we will do that by subtracting 6. So when we subtract here, we also subtract on the right hand side. This will cancel. Then we have x is equal to 0 minus 6 is equal to a -6. So now we have solved this quadratic equation by vectorizing. Next, we will solve our quadratic equation using the quadratic formula. So what is a quadratic formula? A quadratic formula is something that looks like this. X is equal to a minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. So in this quadratic formula, we have a, b, and c, which are unknown values. And how do we get these values to substitute with? Let us start with a. The value of a is given by the coefficient of the x squared term. The coefficient of this x squared term is 1. So a in this case is 1. And then we have b. The value of b is given by the coefficient of the x term. The coefficient of the x term in this case is the +5. So the value of b is a +5. Also, we have c. The value of c is given by the constant. So the constant in this case is just -6. So we'll use these values to substitute in the quadratic formula so that we get to solve for x. Now let us substitute into the quadratic formula. So x is equal to minus b. B is equal to 5, a positive 5, plus or minus. Just make sure you keep the plus or minus because this means you get two values of x. So make sure you keep the plus or minus. Then let's proceed. The square root of b squared. B is 5, so it will be 5 squared minus 4a. A is given by the coefficient of the x squared. In this case, it is 1. And c is given by the constant, and in this case, it is -6. This is over 2a. A is given by the coefficient of x squared, and that value is 1. So now we have substituted into the quadratic formula. Now let us sort this out. So we have x equal to -1 times 5, that is -5, plus or minus, which is this one, the square root of 5 squared is 25, minus 4 times 1 is equal to 4. 4 times -6 is equal to -24, over 2 times 1 is equal to 2. Let us continue. X is equal to -5 plus or minus the square root of 25 minus -24. 25 minus -24 is the same as 25 plus 24. So 25 plus 24 is equal to 49 over 2. Alright, x is equal to -5 plus or minus the square root of 49 is 7 over 2. So now we have something which is much more simple. To get the first value of x, we will use the plus, and then to get the second value, we will use the minus. So let us do that. X is equal to -5 plus, for the first value of x, 7 over 2. For the second value of x, we will use the minus. So x is equal to -5 minus 7 over 2. Remember that we have to have an O here. So x is equal to -5 plus 7, that is 2 over 2. So x is equal to a 1. Or x is equal to -5 minus 7, that is -12 over 2. So x is equal to -12 over 2, that is equal to a -6. So now we have solved this quadratic equation using the quadratic formula. And as you can see, our answers are the same as when we were factorizing. Number 3, we will solve our quadratic equation by completing the square. So how do we complete a square? The first thing we will do is take the -6 from the left hand side to the right hand side. We do that by adding 6, also adding 6 on the right hand side as well. This will cancel, and then we'll have x squared plus 5x equal. Let us just have the equal sign a little bit further from the 5x. So here we'll have 6. Our main aim here is to create a perfect square. So how do we create a perfect square? A perfect square will be given by adding b over 2 squared. So b in this case is given by the coefficient of x. So the coefficient of x as b, we will have 5 over 2 squared. So this is the same as 5 over 2 times 5 over 2. This is equal to 5 times 5 is equals to 25 over 2 times 2 is equals to 4. So we'll take this 25 over 4 and add it here. 25 over 4. In algebra, when you add something on the left hand side, you also have to add it on the right hand side. So we will add 25 over 4 on the right hand side as well. So now we have x squared plus 5x plus 25 over 4 equal to 6 plus 25 over 4. So when this is factorized, it will be x plus 5 over 2 squared equal to 6 plus 25 over 4 is the same as 6 and 25 over 4. Let us change this into a top-heavy fraction. 4 times 6 is equals to 24. 24 plus 25 is equals to 49. All this is over 4. So here we will have 49 over 4. So the next thing, we will find the square root of that and find the square root of that positive and a negative root of 49 over 4. So this will cancel that and we'll be left with x plus 5 over 2 equal to the positive and negative root of 49 over 4. The square root of 49 is 7 over the square root of 4 is equals to 2. So now we have x plus 5 over 2 equals to plus or minus 7 over 2. The next thing we will do is take the 5 over 2 from the left hand side to the right hand side. We will do that by subtracting 5 over 2. So when we subtract, we also subtract on this side 5 over 2. This will cancel, and then we will have x equal to plus or minus 7 over 2 minus 5 over 2. So since we have plus or minus 7 over 2, that means we have to get two values of x. So to get the first value of x, we will have to use the plus. So x is equals to plus 7 or positive 7 over 2 minus 5 over 2. Or now we want to get the second value of x. So to get the second value of x, we will use the minus 7 over 2. So minus 7 over 2 minus 5 over 2. So x is equal to 7 minus 5 is equals to 2 over 2. Therefore, x is equals to 2 over 2 is equals to 1. Or x is equal to negative 7 minus 5, that is equal to negative 12 over 2. So x is equal to negative 12 over 2 is equal to negative 6. So now we have solved our quadratic equation by completing a square. And that is just how we solve quadratic equations using these 3 ways. If you like this video, click the like button or just leave a comment.